Good evening, everyone. My name is Scruffy Scruffaluffagus, and this is a Corn Report. First off, I'd like to wish all of our American viewers a happy 4th of July, or I guess I should say Independence Day, because for everybody else around the globe, it's just another day. But if you are in the United States, I hope you have had a great 4th of July, or will have, or are having, depending on when you watch this video. If you're one of our British viewers, well, I'm sorry you lost. What, too soon? Okay, legal is telling me that yes, it in fact is too soon, but don't worry, this will never make the final cut. Just like a lot of things in here. Anyway, I think 250 years is plenty enough, and I can say that because I got a lot of friends that are British. Over the weekend, we had several announcements. We're going to run through everything talking about the upcoming vehicle mints. And don't forget to stick around until the end, because Josh and Rob talked about something in Copy Cafe, a vehicle scrapyard idea. I'm going to give you my 2 cents, got a few pros and cons lined up, and let you know what I think about it. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the upcoming mints. If you currently hold the OG role in the Cornucopias Discord server, you'll be happy to know that the OG Bonanza Mint will be starting on Wednesday, July 5th. Now, we don't know the time as of the filming of this video, but they did say there will be 48 hours to mint. So if you have that OG role and you want to get a free NFT, make sure you mark your calendars for this Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Now, remember, these are usually test mints, and this one is no different. They are testing the latest website integration, back-end, minting tech, all that jazz rolled into one to make sure everything's running nice and buttery smooth for the T3 mint that is coming on July 12th, 1 week later. Now, if you've been in a Cornucopias mint before, you will know that they have a tier system in every mint, and depending on certain qualifications, you fit within certain tiers. This one is the same in that regard, that they do have tiers. However, there is a big difference between this and some previous mints, so we're going to go over those right now. Tier 1 will be Corn Points Whale, meaning that for 2,750 of those daily corn points that you've been accumulating in the Discord server, you can buy a spot into Tier 1, which is a guaranteed mint. If you want to use those points and you want to be guaranteed, that's how you're going to do it. They haven't opened it up again as the filming of this video, but make sure and check major announcements if you want to find out all the details on that. Tier 2 is going to be the vehicle holders, meaning that if you have the vehicle holder role as of 8 hours after they posted the announcement, you will be able to mint in Tier 2. According to the Discord announcement, there is a high likelihood of being able to mint in this tier. However, it is not guaranteed. Moving on to Tier 3, for 750 points, you can buy an entry into Tier 3, which they call the Corn Points Connoisseur tier. Tier 4 will be open to the public. Also remember that in Tiers 1 through 4, only one NFT mint per person is allowed. However, if they're not minted out, they will have a Tier 5, which is also open to the public, and they will allow you to possibly try to mint one extra. Now, you might notice something missing, and that is an OG tier. And honestly, when I saw this post, I thought a lot of the OGs would be up in arms saying, "Where's the OG tier?" However, I couldn't have been more wrong and more pleased with the OG community. Most of the OGs felt this was a very fair way to do it. And I'm assuming that it was a little bit easier pill to swallow, considering they're getting a free NFT the week before. And I say free, but remember, it's not free for the team, it's free for the users. The team still has to pay to mint all of those guys. So the question you're asking is, Scruff, should I pay $2,750 to mint in Tier 1? And or should I pay 750 corn points in order to reserve a place in T3? Well, that's totally up to you. As you know, I don't offer financial advice. Is Corn Points advice financial advice? I don't know. To me, it all comes down to whether or not you're a vehicle owner. For me, I do own several vehicles, so I know that I will be able to get into that tier 2. Now, I realize using their current system, it's still not guaranteed, but I like my odds in tier 2. If you're not a vehicle owner, maybe you're newer to the project, you haven't had a chance to pick one up yet, or, just times are tough, I get it, then you might think about it, especially if you have the points to spend. Again, we have no idea how many people are going to show up from mint to mint. A lot of times, they go flying off the shelves. Other times, they have enough to where they can open up an extra tier at the end and allow people to get multiples. I don't like to take chances. So if I was not a vehicle holder and I wasn't going to use all of my corn points, I might think about doing that T1. But because I am a vehicle holder, again, I'm choosing to save my corn points. Also, something to keep in mind, if you do purchase a tier 1 or a tier 3 placement, you still have to pay for the NFT. It does not cover the cost of the NFT, so make sure you got some ADA in your wallet and it's ready to go. And for our final topic, Josh and Rob in the most recent Copy Cafe episode postulated and hypothesized a possible new feature that we haven't heard of yet. That's right. They call it the Vehicle Scrapyard. And I thought it was a very, very interesting idea. However, immediately some red flags came up, and I always like to look at both sides now, to quote Joni Mitchell. I'm sorry. 3 people got that reference? Great. I'm doing my job. Now remember, before we get into this, nothing is set in stone. Everything is always subject to change, and they sounded somewhat non-committal. However, I'd be surprised if something doesn't come of this. Will it be exactly the way they discussed it? No idea. But I wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons. Now, before we get into it, there's a couple things I wanted to touch on. First of all, remember, this is a free-to-play game. You do not have to buy any vehicles in order to play the game. They're going to have a free T1 available for people who don't want to purchase NFTs. And as the guy said, nothing is set in stone. In fact, this could change. They're looking for feedback from the community, and they may run into problems implementing it and have to tweak it just a little bit. So don't be surprised if it doesn't go down exactly like this. Now, according to the Copy Cafe episode, the way it would work is a non-Web3 user would be able to theoretically buy a vehicle using fiat and skip the Web3 wallet in order to help, onboard mainstream gamers. Then Cornucopias could reserve an NFT for them. So it would just be sitting and holding, maybe in some sort of vault or a garage, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Then at a later date, they would have an option. They could either convert the vehicle to a Web3 NFT if they go ahead and get on board with a Web3 wallet, or they could take the vehicle to the scrapyard and burn it for a discount on a future NFT. Now, first off, there's a lot of things we don't know, right? If you burn your vehicle, is it a discount on any other NFT? Is it just on another vehicle? Also, what's that percentage look like? It's one thing if it's 20%, it's a different thing if it's 50%, or if it's 100%, or if it's 150%. No, wait, they wouldn't do that. Anyway, you get the idea. But I did come up with a list of pros and cons, so let's go over those here real quick. Pro number 1. It allows non-Web3 gamers a chance to at least get some sort of value for it. In traditional games, you go in there, you purchase a skin or a vehicle or a gun or something, and when you're done using it, you're out of luck. Obviously, that's one of the things that Web3 gaming and NFTs solves. However, if you're playing a Web3 game and you don't have a Web3 wallet, you would kind of be out of luck. And I think this was the genesis behind this idea. At least you get a discount on a future NFT. Pro number 2, because there'd still be a monetary advantage, it might entice non-Web3 gamers to come on over to the dark side and join all of us Web3 gamers. essentially incentivizing people to learn about Web3 and help grow the space. And pro number 3. If these users choose to go take their vehicle to the vehicle scrapyard and burn the NFT that would have been held aside for them, that creates a deflationary mechanism for the NFTs. It's all about supply and demand. Obviously, if there's fewer vehicles and the demand stays the same or goes up, the price will increase as the supply decreases. So you're saying to yourself, Scruffy, sounds like kittens and rainbows to me. Not so fast. Remember, I do have a list of cons as well. We'll get to those here in just a second. But first, if you want to help support the channel or you found anything interesting, informative, entertaining in this video, make sure like and subscribe. Also, if you want to be notified when I come out with new videos, go ahead and click on that bell and turn on notifications. All right, moving on to the cons. Con number 1. I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought that 2 different tracks could be confusing, especially for newer users, right? You've got one set of rules for the people that have Web3 wallets and have purchased them, minted them straight to their wallets, and then a different one for people who are fiat. Obviously, there's going to need to be some level of explanation there. However, I do have to admit the Cornucopias team has done an excellent job in the past, so I don't see this necessarily as a con, just something that they may have to really address and think about in great detail. How to keep things simple. Stupid. Yep, I'm a big fan of the KISS mentality. Keep it simple, stupid. Con number 2. It could muddy the waters a little bit on the marketplaces, with users not knowing how many real NFTs are out there. Meaning that if there's a big supply of NFTs in holding and the users don't know if they'll be burned or converted over to Web3 NFTs, then when they're doing their market research, they may not have a good handle on exactly what the supply is. That could cause a little bit of unrest in the Web3 community. And con number 3. The traditional gamers, or people who purchase vehicles using fiat, may not want to switch over to Web3, but might still hold some resentment that there is a monetary advantage to doing the Web3. I know a lot of people who are scared of Web3. They don't want to mess with it, and I understand that. But anytime money is at stake, you know, people are going to piss and moan. Now, for all I know, the team has already thought of all these cons, and maybe they already have answers for it. There's some pretty smart cookies working over there at Cornucopias. What did I miss? Are there more pros or more cons that I didn't think of in this video? If so, make sure and leave me a comment down below. That does it for this episode of the Corn Report. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone.